I am Brandon Clark. This is my co-host Shwa Hall, and today we're meeting on Uncommon Ground. So we have quite the topics, the mostly a slew of cultural topics to talk about today, and backlash and conspiracy-filled episode with the Epstein list, or the refusal to release the Epstein list from the Trump administration, I should say, the new Superman movie, and the backlash of, is it woke, is it too pro-immigrant, and all of that we'll dive into, as well as the IRS saying that the church can now endorse political candidates, something that has people on both sides of the aisle in a fritz. And then we'll end with the age-old question that everyone loves debating right now: is Israel committing genocide? So it's going to get spicy. Make sure to stay around for that. We're going to start with Swa, the residential pop culture professional on the podcast, to lay out the Superman going-ons with us.
Yeah, so if you've been paying attention to ads like anywhere, you know that there's a new Superman movie out directed by James Gunn, who did Guardians of the Galaxy for Marvel and then did the Suicide Squad, the second one, not the first one, for DC a couple of years back. I think it was last week or the week before on one of the, it was either at the red carpet or something like that. They were interviewing some of the crew and they talked about it being an immigrant story and about how Superman, this is everybody knows about Superman. He comes in the little ship, crash lands on Earth. He's not from here, but he's raised as if he's from here by two parents in Kansas, and how that makes him an immigrant. And then along with that, in the trailers, they have been teasing a little conflict in what looks like a Middle Eastern uh, area, and of course that plays into our debate topic later today. People having seen the movie, have been saying that the movie is very pro-Palestine, anti-Israel. That it's basically the countries that are at war in the film are about those two things. Yeah,
So, without ruining anything, is your opinion that it is or that it isn't?
my opinion is that the war that it represents in the film is way more easily grafted onto Russia Ukraine, in my opinion, than it is to Israel Palestine, just because of the way that the plot unfolds. I don't want to spoil anything, but at least in the recent events with Israel and Palestine, obviously October 7th kind of kicked things off with a terrorist attack, and there's nothing like that in the movie. This is way more, again, being vague. A country just decides, hey, we want your country, and that's not really, like, you can argue that maybe that's part of what's going on with Israel Palestine, but that's not really the same type of war. And so, as far as that goes, I mean, obviously, Superman's an immigrant. That's not really controversial. I don't understand why anybody thinks that that's a woke take. Um, Another thing that people have been complaining about is that the movie's theme basically is be nice. And people have been saying that that's too woke too. So it's like these three things combined. But me personally, I've seen the movie three times. I find it very hard to put the Israel Palestine into this, to put it into this key shape hole or whatever you want to call it, to fit it in there, because it just doesn't really apply. So obviously, I know you haven't seen the movie, Brandon, but as far as Superman coming down to Earth and being raised, do you see that as an immigrant story, or do you think that they're out to lunch with that type of comment?
Yeah, I mean, I think it probably is the story of an immigrant. I mean, it is actually absolutely. I don't know how much it's ever been like described as that, is I guess what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say. Um, uh, so, but I guess before I get too much into my take, I'm curious, from you having seen it, do you think that it's, again, without ruining anything, is it overly expressed in the movie, like more so than other Superman movies, that like he's an immigrant, like this is a pro-immigrant story? Is it like more so in this, or is it just kind of the norm for Superman? Is
I
it
don't
even a
think
theme?
Yeah, I don't really think it is. I mean, they do touch on his parentage, like the alien ones, not the, I mean, they touch on the Earth ones too, but like where he came from. And originally the movie was going to be called Superman Legacy, so I think maybe earlier drafts maybe had more, what's his legacy? Is he
Hmm.
human? Is he alien? Does he come from this culture or this culture? I think that it's like in there, but it's not. That's like not the plot of the movie. Without going into it, this is way too like comic book goofiness to like really attached to anything in real life, in my opinion. I mean, if you've seen the trailers, he's fighting a kaiju at one point that breathes fire. I mean, like, this is the goofiest Superman we've ever gotten. I just don't see those types of themes in there personally.
Yeah, so and I might get slaughtered for this because I do in my personal circles because I'm not like I don't follow pop culture whatsoever. So I haven't really seen the trailers, haven't
Yeah.
seen the movie. The only thing I've seen is the red carpet thing you were speaking of, where James
Yeah.
was like, it's obviously an immigrant story, and then like
Right.
everybody sharing that on Twitter. I just think like to me, and this is again without having seen it, so I don't have any opinion based on the substance of the movie, but it just seems like the typical conservative, like we're such victims and Hollywood is against us and everyone's making movies woke. Like if it was Superman and he came out in the trailer and said the N-word, I bet that like conservatives would be saying this was like the greatest
Oh,
movie of all time or something. But like he's what, like being nice to people, and they're like, hey, this
yes.
is woke lib stuff, and it doesn't make any
Right.
sense to me why conservatives want to fight values like empathy and things that like everyone should have. Like, why are those also labeled woke? It confuses me what woke means when we start calling just like things that are nice woke.
Right. And now that you mention it being an immigrant story, and I'm thinking about it deeply, there is like a comment about him not having at one point, again, trying not to spoil anything, about him not actually being entitled to rights,
Mm.
on account of him not being an illegal alien like an immigrant, but being an alien, like you're not a human being. So it's hard. The courts, there's a line that basically says the courts have decided like you don't get rights, Superman, because you're not a citizen of Earth or even the US. So you're just an alien. Like we don't have, you know, laws for rights for aliens,
And it's
essentially.
funny because that's exactly how MAGA would treat Superman if he came down.
Right.
They would all be like, deport him.
Where's your passport?
He's here to take our
He's
jobs.
like, but I stopped 9/11. We
Yeah.
don't care. It's
Yeah,
like,
so for me, like my opinion is I don't ever get the outrage about movies, whether it's right wing or left wing subliminal messaging. All movies are gonna have it. Like they're made by humans, even if they
right,
don't mean to. Like their beliefs and bias are gonna like rub off into it in some ways. You know what I mean? So it's like I think when it comes to like entertainment, it should just be about like, do you enjoy it or not? And not everything has to be
right.
political. I don't think entertainment has to be political, even if the movie touches on political things. Like we don't have to defund Superman now. And like some of the calls I see on Twitter are like insane.
Boycott DC. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna watch Batman because Superman was nice to somebody.
Yeah. And like
like,
Marvel's always been better. And it's like, dude, like they care about people in Marvel too,
right, right.
dude.
It's like, they saved the city. Oh no.
So
Yeah.
did you like at any point were you like, this is woke? Was there anything where you're like, was there even like a
So
hold on moment? Why this? Without again spoiling anything, but did you
yeah,
even have that moment or thought at any point?
no, no. And like I said, I was looking for it because this, all this came out ahead of time. And the Middle Eastern thing, people were worried about that like a year ago when he was still filming it, because we were getting like set photos and it was like, uh-oh, this is not the time to be doing an Israel Palestine story, bro. And like again, in the movie, it's just it's just so hard to, because even them, again, being vague, even them deciding to uh, come conquer the other country is like tied into like supervillain BS. Like it's not even for the sake of like Putin is doing it for like
Yeah.
Russian pride and historical, like it's not even like that in the movie. It's more like, backdoor deals and just let's get Superman. Like it's so, like there's so much heavy comic book stuff. I mean, they talk about multi-dimensional imps. Like
Yeah.
there is so much goofy stuff that it's like
Those
so
are
hard.
that's obviously an analogy to the Middle East.
Right, right, right. Multi-dimensional imps are lefties. Everybody knows.
Right.
But there is a line at the end, I think, that is meant to kind of jab at us, where a character in like a quick news thing says, "Well, the one thing that liberals and conservatives can agree on is that so and so sucks," and that's like the only political line, because other than that, it's like about whether or not superpowered individuals should have like autonomy. Um, and this is stuff that's touched on in other superhero stuff, like Batman versus Superman from like almost a decade ago now.
Mhm.
Talks about because in that movie, Superman like intervenes in like Africa or something with some war, and then all of the news and the secretaries of states and all of that are talking about whether or not he has the right to intervene in world affairs when
Mhm.
he's a U.S. citizen, but also he's like a god. So it's
Yeah.
like, so that's in there, but that's not, again. I mean, like I just said, that was in another movie that they already did. So that's not like James Gunn being woke. And the funny thing is, this guy got canceled.
Yeah.
If anybody remembers, for not being woke, for saying like raunchy Republican type of humor stuff, like saying
I
the
know who
N
he is.
word, and he got canceled. It was stuff that he said like 20 years ago. I mean, dude's like 50.
And what's his other movies that you said?
Guardians of the Galaxy,
Is
for
that
Marvel.
I was about to say, oh, so he's done. He's
He did
crossed
Marvel.
over. He crossed
Well, so
into
that's
that
what
one.
happened is he was at Marvel and then they fired him because these tweets got unearthed. And so like that's the thing is like
Um,
he's not even a left wing guy. He's like maybe now he's soft and over. He seems to be sort of a what do you call it, in the middle fencer?
centrist.
No,
Yeah.
centrist.
Yeah.
More now, but it's like he got canceled for making edgy jokes about like the N word and
Huh.
pedo stuff like that. Like he was making jokes, and so he
Yeah.
got canceled. And then DC hired him, and then he went back to Marvel to finish Guardians
Leave it to
trilogy.
DC.
So it's like this guy's not against you. You guys are
Yeah.
just looking for somebody to be against you.
So I guess to sum it up then, just for the nerds who actually,
Yeah.
care about the movie for movie stuff, what would you rate it? And is DC
Mm.
catching up to Marvel?
I gave it the first time I saw it an 8 out of 10. Then the second time I saw it an 8 out of 10. Then the third time I saw it an 8.5.
Mm.
So it went up a
So
little
watch it
bit.
3 times, guys.
Yes. Well, like I said, dimensional imps and all, there's just so much going on that you're kind of like, I liked it, but man, that was messy. And then the third time, like the one of the themes is kindness is punk rock. And like that really hit me more the third time. Like some of the emotional stuff hits you more, but I think it was great action, great acting, great comedy. The music's great, the cinematography's good. Um, are they catching up to Marvel? Marvel's in a bit of a down period right now, so I'd say, yeah. I mean, a Fantastic Four comes out in like a week and a half, so we'll see how that does box office wise compared to Superman. But I mean, it'll be a slow journey as we release more DC stuff. The next one is Supergirl next
Mhm.
year, um, and of course, people probably say that that's woke. Why do we need a Supergirl? We've already got a Superman.
Yep, yep, yep. Hey, at least they didn't make them black. That would have
Right.
been plain and
True.
remote.
And the funny thing is that was in the works before too. They were going to do Michael B. Jordan Superman back in like 2013 or something.
That's
Never happened,
hilarious.
but
Yeah,
would have been
yeah.
cool.
All right. Well, yeah. So then, to go to something, I guess maybe slightly related, depending on who's on the list. I don't know, right?
Lex Luthor's on the list.
Superman's on the list. Yeah. The Epstein list. This is and I'll say off the top, I admittedly might be the wrong person to head this up because I
Mm.
actually, just like pop culture, I also don't really indulge in conspiracy theories. So
Oh yeah.
the ins and outs of the Epstein stuff, I don't really know. Like I know the important surface level stuff. Bad dude, had an island, rich people went there, children were like sex trafficked, whatever. I don't know the ins and outs of like who all's on the log, what if the like, I don't know why people think there's a list. To me it seems like there wouldn't be a list, but I don't know if there's like hard evidence that there would be. What I would say is funny, and getting into the story, is it's funny that Trump promoted the Epstein list for so long, ran on releasing it, and now the story we're covering, they're acting like it doesn't exist. Trump and Pam Bondi are coming out saying, or I think they released a statement specifically saying that they have no evidence to believe there is a list anymore, that it's all conspiracy. Trump is posting on True Social saying, let's just stop talking about it, like there's all this other stuff going on. And it's just a harsh 180 from the entire administration, full of people from Trump to like JD Vance to like the FBI guy, Dan Bongino or whatever, who were all like, we're releasing this list the second we get power. The Democrats don't want to release it. And now all of a sudden it doesn't exist. This has caused a lot of backlash, even within the administration. There's some fighting. In MAGA, there's a lot of splits. Some people are trying to sweep it under the rug and say it doesn't really matter. Other people are ready to leave MAGA over it. Swa, as someone who's not in MAGA, but you are on the conservative side, I'm curious what you're hearing and what your thoughts are. And you might know more about it all than me in terms of the actual conspiracy too. So
Yeah, like you, I try not to get involved. I think it's cringe when
yeah.
people go after conspiracies, especially when there's like no evidence at all. My understanding with the Epstein thing is there's certainly flight logs because I'm pretty sure like we've already seen some of that. Like I think we know like we all know Donald Trump was on a plane with him at some point. Like
Seven
there's even
times
photos.
infamously. Yeah.
There's even photos. Like this is not that controversial. So I'm a little bit confused on if this is like a different list or
So
that's where my confusion is.
yeah, so just a quick, the from my understanding, what people talk about is there's supposedly supposed to be a just a client list, like there's some list.
Okay, so a client list of who actually like used
Yeah,
the girls and
which to me
the,
doesn't make sense because
separate from the flight list.
we're not talking about like Dr. Doofenshmirtz here, who's like, here's my list. Like, I don't think
Right.
these people would leave evidence like that behind. But
Right. Yeah. Now, I think the idea was, if I remember correctly, that they would use it for blackmail, and
mm,
that's why they have a list is to control the world powers, and that's how G- Ghislaine, I
yeah,
don't know how Maxwell
Ghislaine, yeah,
and Epstein were controlling everybody, and they're probably working with the Jews too. Like I
yeah.
don't know, whatever they were saying, but um, yeah. So I am not aware of a client list or like any evidence of one. I know that people have been talking about it, but as far as Trump, it is a little bit sketchy that he was pushing it out there. And then, of course, there was the Elon thing back when they had their falling out, and he was like, Trump's not going to release it, type of thing. And then he told them that it's time to drop the big bomb and all of that. And so I don't know if Elon's just talking out of his butt or if he actually knows about a list or what's up with it. But then I also saw that aren't they saying that Epstein is like innocent? Didn't that come
That
out too?
that's what MAGA is now saying as some like I've seen it only from MAGA people with some like insane cope to be like, like what Epstein actually was never proved to do anything wrong. I don't know about the veracity of it or
For
anything.
some reason, I thought like the not the cabinet. What's the word I'm looking for? Administration. Like for some reason, I thought that they came out and they were like, we did our investigation. Actually, there was no pedo stuff. There was none of that happened.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that. I know they came out and said that they had no evidence. They did an investigation and found no evidence of a client list. I don't know if
So
they,
maybe it's just that part they're talking about. Like
yeah,
maybe he did his own thing with the kids,
which is
but there
funny.
wasn't like
Which is
he
it's
wasn't like
funny.
selling them to people or anything necessarily. There was
Yeah,
no evidence of it.
it is funny though because Pam Bondi, the AG, I play this on my channel. There, she was on Fox News and they asked her about the list, and she said verbatim, "I have it on my desk. Like we are looking through it. It is on my desk, and we're going to release it." So it's like funny that like at one point they were saying they had it, and now it doesn't exist.
Yeah, I mean, this is all an annoying circumstance to be in as lay people because all we can really do is just like be at the mercy of this administration if they decide to release anything. I mean, obviously, whoever's in their next administration can release stuff. We see that all the time where stuff gets declassified like 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years
Yeah.
later. I mean, look at the Trump declassifying the stuff about MLK and
JFK.
JFK. Yeah. I mean, that was been what 60, 80? No, yeah. 60
60,
years
60 years.
since those things
Mm.
occurred. So I mean, we might find out some stuff eventually, but yeah, I
So
mean,
my
go ahead.
hopes is that I was just gonna say my hopes is that it just I hope that it gets people to stop trying to conspiracy brain everything. Like
This is
there
where I
does
was
not
about to
have to
go.
be a big conspiracy theory about everything.
I was just about to say, I understand skepticism is natural. Like everybody's gonna have their doubts here and there, and things sound fishy. And I don't know that that should be like that. I get it, especially when you're so far removed. It's hard to. I mean, at that point, we're it's as close as secular people get to employing faith, you
Yeah.
know? Like you
Mhm.
just kind of have to hope that the government has your best interest at heart. You just kind of have to hope that they will tell you if something's going down. You have to hope. So I get it, but conspiracy mania where people are busting into the, local pizza shops.
Yeah.
I can't remember if somebody ended up getting hurt in that situation, but
I don't
um,
remember. Yeah.
I feel like the store owner or something got
I
like
think it was something like that.
hurt, like
Yeah.
pushed over, like give me the basement or something. I can't
Pizzagate.
remember. It's like stuff like that. It's like you guys let it go way too far. Like if
Yeah.
you want to go on Reddit and just like everybody's like little internet sleuths and posting bits of information and just talk in like a little group,
Yeah.
whatever. But
And
once it
well,
gets into like real life, you need to relax.
that,
Like
and for me it's like the steps, right? Like I'm fine with if you're skeptical and you don't have facts in front of you, so you want
yeah,
to take one leap, like, okay, we know Epstein was doing bad things on the island, we know rich
yeah,
people were going there, some rich people did bad things. I think that's a logical leap to take. That
right,
is like,
right,
you can't prove it, that's fine. But when you're like taking that leap to then go, there's a list and all of Hollywood is in on it, every Democrat is on the list, the entire government, and he had this list so he could control them to do what he wants, and it's like, now you're losing me, because like Occam's razor, right? Like, you know what
right.
I mean? Like
Yep.
the thing that relies on the most assumptions is most likely to be untrue. So when you're like taking 20 leaps from the logical point, or where the evidence is, you're probably wrong.
Yeah, and I would just say, lastly, from Trump's perspective, assuming that he's not on, if assuming there is a list and assuming he's not on it, dude needs to release it
Yeah.
because he's just creating this scenario where everyone's gonna. Now you've got the conspiracy guys who are gonna doubt their conspiratorial leader,
Yep.
and that's not good because now, now they're not even under his control. They're under nobody's control, and so we don't want to alienate MAGA even more and create even more division in the country. And so I think if it exists, the American people have a right. You should show them. We should show us, and we should get rid of. I mean, like if there's people who are in our government, in our institutions, in our universities, or in our even in our pop culture, in our media, in Hollywood, who are doing these things, like bro, throw them in jail. Like we got to get
Exactly.
these guys.
And I
So
don't care if they're Democrats or
yeah, yeah.
Republicans
So
or,
that
you know,
does undermine trust if it exists. The problem
yeah,
is if it
if it
exists.
exists. Yeah. And just for my last thought is, I agree. The if, I think, is a big, I think that it's became a useful conspiracy for politicians to use against the other side, where it's the other side that won't release it because they're on it. And it, I don't know the veracity of any of it ever existing, but yeah, if you're done, we could hop over to IRS
Yep.
and church stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I'm done. So, in July of this year, in 2025, the IRS clarified. So this isn't necessarily a new ruling, but there's been some confusion over the years about it. Clarified that churches can endorse political candidates from the pulpit. For anybody who doesn't know church language, that just means while the preacher's preaching, like from the stage or whatever you want to call it, they can say vote for Joe Biden or don't vote for Joe. A vote for Joe is a vote against God or something like that, and it's not going to affect their 501c3 status, which is of course their non-for-profit status, which allows them to be tax exempt and to do certain things with their religious freedoms and whatnot. So obviously, from my point of view as a Catholic, as a religious person, I think this is good. I think this is fine because I think that voting, people should vote their consciences, and that people's spirituality, whether they're Christian, Satanist, atheist, Hindu, whatever they are, is going to influence their moral judgments and how they view the world and how they should vote. And I don't think that having your spiritual leader kind of say, well, here's our official stance, is a problem at all. But I'm sure you disagree on that. But I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, actually, so when you first sent me this, I was rather indifferent on it. I didn't know if we would have much disagreement. The more I think about it, I think I might slightly be against it, but I don't really care. I don't think we're strongly going to disagree. I think it's fine in principle. I agree with what you're saying about people come to decisions based on things like community, like family, like faith. So it's not like a big deal. What would worry me would be the way the political leaders would do it, because if it becomes more so like um and it would be, I would even take a step back, it would be more down the line. Let's say churches start kind of becoming more inherently political, trying to curry
Mm-hmm.
favor from parties, oh, we'll give you the endorsement if you do this, whatever it may be, whatever they want, they get their ask, we'll endorse you. And then the political leader goes to the stand, the pulpit, whatever it's called, and it's more of, rather than a like, we should do this, like, God wills this, and if you don't, eternal damnation. And then it all becomes like a down the line way to just funnel more people into the conservative party. That would be my biggest thing, is just worry of it seems like ripe for corruption almost. And then my biggest thing also would be like, if the church is going to get more ability to exercise its authority across society, then it should probably start paying taxes. Those would be my two biggest complaints. I know, like, I think it's like the Johnson Act or something. That's what is the reasoning. That's like the law that if you're tax exempt, you can't politic. So I don't know why a church would get that when like no other does. But those would be my only complaints. I'm not too indifferent to it. I am curious what you would think of that though.
Yeah, on the making sure, like, oh, we'll endorse you if you blankety blankety blank. Um, I would share your sentiments there, and at least officially, the church would share your sentiments there. I mean, that we have like our own canon laws and stuff, and that would like be against them. But obviously, people are corrupt; they can do what they want. So it's one thing to have it on paper; it's another thing to live it out. Interestingly enough, though, bringing a little bit of pop culture into this, I've been watching a show on HBO with my wife called The Young Pope, which is starring Jude Law. As the first American Pope. So a little prophecy there because it came out like a decade ago. So it was before Pope Leo, but it's not like a religious show. It's, I mean, it's HBO, so it's like, Game of Thrones. It's not it's not very accurate, but the Pope in that does actually do kind of what you're saying, and the Italian Prime Minister comes to meet with him, and the Pope gives him a list of demands, which is like no abortion at all, no this at all, none of this, none of that, none of this, none of that. And then he's like, we need to talk about the Vatican's borders, because historically, the reason the Vatican exists is because the church used to own land, so much land. It was called the Papal States, and it was like, I mean, it was like countries upon countries. I mean, they owned all of Italy. They owned, like, it was a lot of land. It was a whole kingdom basically. And so the Pope in that show is like, we need to discuss that again and maybe take our land back.
Mhm.
And he ends up blackmailing him, essentially saying, I'm going to tell all the Catholics not to vote for you in the next election.
Yeah.
Um, and at first the guy's like, yeah, whatever. But then he reminds him that um, long story short, this particular pope decided not to appear in public at all when he was elected. And so there's like an air of mystery around him. And so he's like, I'm going to use my very first appearance to say two words, which I don't remember what the Latin is, but there's this old church document from a very specific point in time where the church said no Catholics are allowed to vote at all.
Mhm.
And he said that on the day before the election, he was going to go out for his first time in public, say those two words, and then walk away. And so people would go and Google it because they'd be like, "Oh, what does it mean?" And then it would be like, "You can't vote at all," and then no Catholic would vote at all. So obviously, other people have thought of those ideas enough to put them in a show. So it is possible, and I could see that being bad. Um, as far as, what was the other thing you commented on
They
besides
shouldn't be
the
tax exempt if they're
Oh,
going to have
tax
that much.
exempt.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, the problem there is people, especially with the Catholic Church. I understand visually, we've got big cathedrals, and we own a lot of the art, but that's like what we own. Like, there's not like a lot of money going around. It's art, and all the money that we do have. Hopefully, some secular people could agree. Most of it is going towards either one, paying for all of our places to stay open, like electric bills and the priests and all of that. And then two, we St. Francis Ascension Hospital, most of the hospitals
Yeah, I think
around the
Joel,
third world
what's it,
countries.
what's his name? Joel Osteen.
Joel
I think
Osteen, different
he would
situation.
he
I
would
will
like to
talk
enter
different
the
about.
chat. Yeah, he would like
Oh
to.
yeah, Protestants are different, are a completely different situation. They have
I
no
don't.
rules or laws, or they have
I just know
no.
my mom used to watch him, and I used to see the
Yeah,
church
that's
he was
cringe.
in and
He
be like,
sucks.
yeah,
No, he's got
yo,
nobody above him. That's way more of a. Now, obviously, people say this about the Pope too, but that's way more of a cult of personality because
yeah.
it's just Joel Osteen's church. It's not like.
Yeah. Well, I think most of religion is, but we don't have to go
Yeah,
into that
yeah,
debate.
yeah, yeah.
What I would say, I would hold the same principle for churches that I hold for people. Like, I don't think poor churches should get taxed out of their ass, but I do think that like super churches like Joel Osteen's and those that are clearly raking in tons of money, and then also would be able to like Joel Osteen, if he was going out there and like endorsing a candidate, like that would be national news. And if he's doing that while also like a millionaire and like having $1 million church,
Yeah.
whatever, like those people should probably not be tax exempt.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, obviously, I haven't been in that kind of church in a long time, so I'm not really thinking about it from that point of view. So, like for instance, like priests, well, they have a vow of poverty, so it's like nobody is over here. There's no millionaire priest that just doesn't exist
Yeah.
because they take a vow to basically live as simple as possible, like
There's
Jesus.
never been a rich priest.
They don't own it themselves. Like they don't even own their houses. Like they don't own stuff.
Hmm.
The church owns the land. They build a house, and you live there until you die, essentially.
So there's never
So
been one priest who's like, this is my niche. Like I'm the baller priest. Like,
I mean, maybe there's now I can talk about like Middle Ages. There was calumny, which is where people would buy offices.
oh yeah.
So they
See,
would
no,
be
I'm
like,
I'm
"I'm
talking
gonna
like a new like somebody coming out with like a Nike priest hat or something, and just stunting. That would be
not,
that'd
I
be
mean, not to my knowledge. I don't know the ins and outs of how it works. Like I know there's like Father Mike Schmitz. He's a YouTuber, so there's like influencer priests. So I don't know what like monetization looks like on that level, but they have to get permission from the church to
yeah.
like do that. Like,
Huh.
can I go out in the world essentially? Like, is that's my calling is to preach on the internet to Gen Z? Can I do that? And then their bishop has to approve it. So I don't know if there's like
Man, I
I
wonder.
want to look that up now because I don't know if they like are like okay, 60% of it has to go back to the parishes,
Yeah.
40%, 30% goes to the poor, and you can pocket ten
I
percent for
wonder
living or
I
how
wonder
that
how that
works.
I wonder how that ask was for the first priest who wanted to be the
Yeah, they're
priest.
like, you want to what
Yeah, listen,
on
listen, I have this crazy idea.
the
Like,
cat video website, like back in like '07 or something. Like,
yeah,
you want to do what?
I want to
Yeah.
go around with a microphone and I want to ask people questions about their faith.
Yeah, they're like, okay, okay.
Yeah,
Anyways, we'll pray for you, brother.
yeah.
Like, so yeah, I can see that. I want to do more research on that because I've never really thought about that. I just know, like, I have a priest in my family, so like, I know how he lives and like
Mhm.
very modestly because,
Yeah.
I mean, their income is like, here's $50 in a thank you card for doing our wedding. Like they're not getting paid like that. Like they get paid to live, and that's basically it. So
Yeah.
I don't know,
So yeah,
but
I would be fine with
yeah.
progressive church taxation as well,
And I was gonna say with the thing about the politics, people worried about like conservatives, yada yada yada. There's a lot of liberal churches. Like it's not like that, and especially I'm sure there are like liberal religions even as well. But like there are gay rights activist churches, pride flags outside. Like there are people who are going to endorse people on both sides. When
Sure, just probably not
so,
major churches, right? Like that would probably be the concern is that like the big ones that are going to get national, like because like the small churches aren't really the concern. The ones for me that I think people would be worried about are ones that are like they're going to endorse someone and it's going to be like national news, like maybe the lady, the one who like argued with Trump or whatever, like that one who was like all over the national news. I think people
yeah,
worry
yeah.
about endorsements going national like that.
But you're talking about the lady who gave the talk at his inauguration or whatever.
I believe I don't. Yeah, I
Yeah,
I just saw the clips, but yeah,
yeah, yeah. She's an Episcopalian, which is like it's hard to explain, but they're kind of a break off of Anglicanism, the Church of England. If you know, in England they have like a national church
mhm.
rather than like freedom of.
So they're progressive because she was allowed to be
Yeah, yeah,
she
they're
was
super
allowed to be what
progressive.
she is, right? And that's
Yeah,
not
and they broke off from the Catholic Church, so we think that they're a bunch of cringe progressives. But so there
right.
are some bigger churches like that, and then from a Catholic perspective, I mean, we would say any church with a woman pastor is already progressive. So there's a lot of progressive churches, but
Which is insane. But yeah, equality is progressive to church. And that's but yeah, no, did you have anything else that you wanted to add on this before we turn it into a
nope,
religion debate or something?
nope.
All
Let's get
right.
to Gaza.
Yeah, so we're debating on if Israel is committing genocide. I guess I'll go first since I'm taking the positive side. I do think that they're committing genocide. I think it's rather clear. I think if you understand the definition of genocide, how it's a crime of intent, and then there's acts that can prove that intent, that it's pretty clear. Like we've seen over 55,000 dead, nearly 20,000 children, 70% of Gaza has been leveled at different points. Palestinians have been forced to live with less calories than is in a single can of bean, 245 calories a day. Oxfam reports that Israel was allowing at different points of this conflict half of the trucks needed to provide the necessary aid and nutrition to Palestinians. They were only allowing half of that amount of trucks in per day. We've seen torture. We've seen systemic sexual assault against prisoners. I covered a story on my channel of the government then arguing that rape against prisoners might sometimes be justified in terms of totality. 2% of the population was killed within 10 months. For reference, in the Iraq war, we killed 1% of the population in 20 years. The Syrian civil war killed 2% of the population in 13 years. The average monthly deaths in this conflict are well over 4,000. That's more than the worst month of Iraq, which was 1,370. And then just more that goes into it. Raphael Lemkin is the person who coined the term genocide. He is the person who worked with the UN to create the Genocide Convention. He stressed the importance of cultural genocide and, more importantly, cultural destruction as evidence of intent. The ICJ, the International Court of Justice, updated its guidelines to specifically state that cultural destruction alongside the described acts of genocide can be used as evidence of intent. We've seen over $300 million of damage specifically to Gaza's cultural heritage. The Hague Convention defines cultural property as any property of great importance to cultural heritage of the people, monuments of architecture, art, or history. We've seen the oldest churches and mosques in Gaza be targeted, libraries, archaeological sites be targeted, ancient artifacts. We've seen over 600 schools be targeted. I think that, along with quotes, we've seen defense ministers call Gaza human animals. We've seen them say that there will be no electricity, no food, no fuel allowed in. I think the intent is clear. The acts are clear. Of the 5 acts, Israel has committed all 5. I don't think at this point there's an argument for it not being genocide.
Yeah, so I want to first off say this is specifically about genocide, so I'm not going to be arguing that Israel hasn't done anything bad, and nor am I going to be taking a stance on if I'm a pro-Israel or pro-Palestine or anything like that. That's not what I'm talking about. So genocide is a very specific legal term. It doesn't just mean a lot of people dying. So you could, in theory, go to war with another country and kill every single person, and it wouldn't necessarily be a genocide. Not necessarily. Just to be clear. And so it has to include, as you said, intentionality to seek to destroy an ethnic, national, or religious group. And I don't think that that bar has been met in Gaza. Israel's current actions are obviously following the horrific attacks from October 7th, from when Hamas came in and killed 1,200 Israelis. And so, going off of you said Iraq's worst month, looks like that single day was just as equal from the Hamas side, and which included women and children and the elderly, and of course they took a bunch of hostages, which they uh, let out some of them. Honestly, if we had discussed this early 2024 or late 2023, I'd have the facts way more at the front of my mind. So I can't remember where we're at with the hostages being released currently. I know some of them have. But this war goes back nearly a century, which is the main reason I don't think we can call it a genocide, because it's not as if they just woke up and were like, let's just kill all of these people. There was clearly a lot of things that led up to where we are right now. And so I think calling it genocide just erases the century long cycle of war, terrorism from both sides, and failed peace attempts. The International Court of Justice hasn't declared it as a genocide, which I think is notable. And so I don't think we should either. We can say that there was excessive force, and we can reject a false moral equivalence, like both sides are equal. But again, that's not the same. That's still not the same. And so, looking at the historical context, obviously we had the 1920s massacre, the Arab Revolt in 36, the War of 48, and none of those did the Jewish community invade. And then, of course, it was partitioned in 47, which led to that war. And there's been skirmishes. I mean, take your pick all the time since then, unfortunately. And so, in my opinion, if both sides launched attacks, I don't see it as like we're coming to get you specifically to destroy you. Like there's a lot of response, call and response, if you will. And so, of course, going from the 1948 Genocide Convention, it requires the intent to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnic, or racial or religious group. So civilian deaths, even if they're tragically high, doesn't prove intent. They've stated their military goal is to eliminate Hamas, not the Palestinians. Genocide claims are, can be used politically to try to curry favor as we're all against these guys or whatever. And I think that that's more of what's going on with the genocide stuff. So yeah, no legal body, to my knowledge, has declared it as such. And as I said, there's been a back and forth over 100 years. So I just don't see how we can call it a genocide. And then going to the very first thing, as unfortunate as it is, how this all started is obviously, uh, I think Britain or Europe broadly, I don't know the exact group or
So
whatever,
I
owned
do
the
want to,
land.
if I can
Go,
jump in, I don't
yeah,
really care about the history. I because we're talking about now and we're talking about genocide. And you also said a lot of things that I wanted to respond to. The
sure.
ICJ is hearing a case on genocide. It's not like they've refused to hear the case or like it takes years to hear genocide cases. And they've said that it's plausible for them to hear the case, for them to take it up. It has
Yeah,
to be
yeah, yeah.
plausible.
I'm just saying
So
we
there's
should wait.
plausible evidence, and we should wait. But the ICJ has also ruled that what the Israel has done in Gaza constitutes occupation every day since 1967. So it's not like I agree with you, it didn't start on October the 7th, but in terms of like back and forth, you make it seem like it's level playing ground when it's more like Israel up here and Gaza down there. The third thing I'll say is the intent is clear. There's intent both in quotes and again, the ICJ really updated its guidelines, and Raphael Lemkin, the person who coined the term genocide, both stressed the importance of cultural destruction as evidence of intent when matched with the acts. There's 5 acts: killing members of the group, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group, deliberately inflicting conditions to bring upon the physical destruction, imposing measures to prevent births, and forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. And also, you said something about killing civilians in and of itself isn't proof of intent. At some numbers, it isn't, but at a certain extent, it can be. And the ICJ has weighed in on this. Like, for instance, if you did go in and kill every member of a group, that could be used as evidence of intent to destroy that group. So, like, that was a bit of a misnomer, a bit wrong. Not too important, though. But when we have Israel doing each of these acts, they've killed members of the group, they've caused serious bodily and mental harm, they've inflicted measures to bring upon the physical destruction, they've prevented births, and they've transferred children, or they've attempted to. The fifth one is the one that maybe they haven't done, but only one of those needs to be met. And it's matched with over $300 million of cultural damage caused to different buildings in Gaza with cultural heritage, and matched with quotes from those in Israeli leadership, like the defense minister: "We're fighting human animals and we will act accordingly." The heritage minister: "A nuclear bomb is one of the possibilities." Benjamin Netanyahu invoked Amalek. He said that we're going to do to them what happened to Amalek. You're a religious man. That was genocide. What did they do to them? They killed the women, the children, their livestock, and they burned their cities. The quotes are there to show the intent. The acts are there to show the intent, and the cultural destruction is there to show the intent.
So I actually don't know what Amalek is, but what it, You said religious.
It's a biblical genocide that God commanded the Israelites to go and kill the
Oh,
Amaleks, their women, their
the
children, their livestock.
Amalekites. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
whatever. Yeah.
Sorry. I was okay, okay. The Amalekites. Okay, okay, cool. Cool. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I mean, if he said that, then obviously that's not a great thing to say. I wouldn't say that you should go do as they did to the Amalekites necessarily. Um, but the reason that I was bringing up the history is because although I didn't want to make this debate about who's in the right, the thing is, you said Israel up here, Palestine down here.
Yes.
Well, that's just now. It was like this, and then it went like this, and then like this, and then like this, and then like this. And every time the Palestinians attack, they lose, they lose, they lose, they
So
lose, they
one,
lose.
I
So now
disagree
they're
with
the
you.
underdog.
No,
But at
I
the beginning,
disagree
the
with
Jews
you.
were the underdog.
I disagree with you. That
Thousand
flies in the
percent.
face of historical context, but
No.
that's a debate for a different time that I'm more than happy to have with you. None of that begets genocide, though. So like that's
Well, I'm
just
not saying it
a
begets genocide.
distraction from the conversation, right? That doesn't justify
I'm
genocide.
saying you mess with the bull, you get the horns. Like, yeah, you poke
Doesn't
the
justify
bear,
genocide.
not genocide. I'm saying you are a
It
small
also doesn't
guy.
stop what Israel's doing from being genocide. Like Israel could be completely defending themselves. Palestine could be attacking them every single day, and Israel could still genocide them. Like you understand that, right?
Only if the intent was let's destroy
Yes.
the
Yes.
entire
Yes. Yes.
uh
Yes.
let's destroy the entire
Not the entire,
country and
in whole
and
or in part, but
yeah,
if
yeah,
they
yeah.
had the
And
intent, they
but
could still be doing
but the intent
genocide,
but the
even if
intent
Gaza was directly
but the
attacked
intent
every
is
single
to
day.
stop them from attacking us. So that automatically
That's it's not. That's not. They're attacking. They're specifically targeting cultural sites of cultural heritage to stop them from attacking them. They've targeted over 800 schools to stop what the schools from attacking them.
yeah, because remember
Why did they bomb the oldest mosque in Gaza?
my assumption because I
Your
don't know
assumption.
the yeah because I don't have the
No
exact
Hamas was killed in this bomb. So go ahead, make your assumption.
sure. My assumption would be either because a they thought one of the Hamas leaders was in a they talk about the tunnels and stuff. Somebody was
Yeah,
underneath it or hiding.
yeah.
I'm not saying they were. I'm saying they thought they were.
So
So
can they
you would have
use
to
that as
prove that
justification for
yes.
every action for $300 million of cultural damage? Again, something the
Well,
ICJ, something
the
the
problem.
ICJ, something
So
the ICJ has specifically said is evidence of intent. They can use that as a justification for every one of those.
So the problem with
Yes,
intent is going to be:
yes.
were you there? Do you know what they said? Did the bomb?
I know what they said. I
Did the
know what
bomb?
they said.
Did they
I know. I
say
literally know what there will be no electricity, no
no?
food,
No.
no
I
fuel.
mean,
Everything is closed. We are fighting
yeah, that's not genocide.
animals, and we will act
Well, there will be
accordingly.
no electricity, no fuel, so they can't build bombs. Like you
Are
got to
those
understand.
conditions? Is that deliberately inflicting conditions to bring upon the physical destruction of a group? If you remove
What if
electricity,
it's to bring
food,
about the?
if
What if
you
it's to bring
hold
about
on,
surrender?
if
What if
you
it's to bring
remove
about surrender?
if you remove food,
How do you know
fuel,
it's not to bring about
water, and
surrender?
electricity from
How
a
do you know it's not to bring
civilian
about
population,
surrender?
from a
How do you know it's
civilian
not?
population,
How do
does
you know it's
that
not about to bring about surrender?
because they're doing it to civilians. They're not fighting civilians. You're doing it to
Yeah,
children.
yeah,
The
yeah,
intent is to do
yeah.
it to the group.
Have
If
you
they're
heard of
doing it, they're
a
talking. He's
siege? Have you
describing
heard of
what
a
they're.
siege?
He's
Have you heard
yeah.
of a siege?
Yes, a siege is genocidal. You don't
A
think
siege is
fucking
not
sieges are
genocide. A
genocidal?
siege is
If
not
you go,
genocide.
if you do a
A
siege
siege
with
is
the
not
intention, if
genocide.
you do a
A
siege with the
siege is
intention
not
of destroying the group,
genocide.
that's genocide. That is a
No,
genocide.
the intention is to get them to stop.
No, no, it's
Yes,
not. When
prove
you're
it. Prove
it's
it.
not
You
in Gaza.
can't.
In
You
Gaza, it's
won't.
literally not. It's
You
literally not.
can't. You can't prove it.
When you're occupying someone and then you're withholding electricity, food, fuel, and water from their
To
civilians.
get them to stop bombing
It's
your
not. It's
people and
not. And
wanting to
also, it's been two
genocide your
years. Also,
people.
by the way, it's been 2 years and they're still doing this. Hamas, everyone, the ICC has released
Yes, because
arrest
the
warrants.
Palestinians are genocidal.
The ICC has released arrest warrants, by the way. This is important to state of everyone who they believe was responsible, not only for October the 7th, but they also released them for Netanyahu and stuff. But everyone in Hamas leadership that was responsible for October the 7th, that was considered pivotal in their group, it was like 5, 6, 7 warrants, right? Israel killed every one of them. They're still withholding aid from entering Gaza. There is still
Yes,
one
because you
toilet.
know
There is
why? Do you
one
know why?
toilet. There's one toilet for every 4,000 civilians in the Gaza Strip. Also, important to note, Hamas has released, they put forth a peace plan that if Israel did a permanent ceasefire and withdrew from Gaza, Hamas would leave leadership, release all of the hostages, and that would be it. And Israel said, no, they won't do it because they want to return to fighting after 60 days. Netanyahu said this. All of this is publicly known. It's happening because the point is ethnic cleansing. The point is destroying Gaza. It's so clear.
And prove that the point is not, they will never attack us again.
Because Benjamin Netanyahu's saying that, because there is a peace plan that, again, Hamas will leave leadership.
No, peace plans.
Hamas will leave leadership. And
yes,
and they will release
but
all of the
Palestinian people are genocidal.
Right, right. They're genocidal, so we have to do genocide to them because they're genocidal. They might possibly attack us in 20 years, so we have to genocide them. Like, that's not a justification.
Not have to genocide them, but we
genociding them. They are doing genocide actively.
That is your opinion. We will wait for the ICJ to tell us if that's the case.
You've given no defense that they aren't. You've just said, well, you know, maybe they want to do this or that. You've in no way defended the case that they aren't.
I mean, I have. I said that they're doing it because they were attacked and they were here legally.
How is $300 million
in the right and have been getting attacked for 100 years?
$300 million of cultural destruction along
you have to prove that they said you have to prove them. Yes, you have to prove that they said.
No, you don't. That's not in the guidelines. It's not how intent is.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
You can't just
literally. No, it's not. It's literally not.
Listen,
it's literally not. You think intent is only by people saying, I'm going to do this because of this? That's not true.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Anyone who wants to see, I just interviewed Omer. I just interviewed Omer Bartov, which is a leading figure on genocide, and he disagrees with you. The ICJ guidelines on how to define intent disagree with you. All of this disagrees with you. You're trying to pigeonhole intent into something that isn't internationally defined as in a legal context.
Nope.
Yes. Look.
What I'm saying is, you're looking at the results.
How intent is proved. The ICJ has guidelines released for how intent is proved. They actually, in one point, specifically clarify that if you kill enough civilian members of a group, that could be evidence of intent that your action isn't that of war, but that to destroy a group. Why would they say that if you have to have you have to prove that they said that? Why would that?
I'm not saying that you have to prove that they said that. What I'm saying is, you can have a war and buildings will get destroyed. So you have to, that you or whoever, the ICJ, whoever wants to prove it's a genocide, has to prove that the intent was to destroy the cultural things. Not
right. And
because again, you could destroy every single cultural building in the country.
True. That's literally not true. It's literally not true.
Wasn't your intent, if that wasn't
okay,
your
hold
intent,
on. Yes, have you ever read the ICJ guidelines on intent for genocide?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, but it was
so when they specifically state that level of damage, that the level in which damage is caused can be evidence of intent.
Yeah, evidence can be evidence, but that's not conclusion. And we're talking about the conclusion. You've already come to the conclusion, which is that it is genocide. And so what I'm telling you is,
do you know what
you can theoretically destroy every cultural building in a country, and it doesn't have to be genocide because the intent might not be there.
So let's use the scientific method to come to a conclusion. We have all of this evidence, we have all of this observational data, and all of us points it towards the conclusion of this being genocide. You have no evidence, but you have maybe it's not. And that
I have lots of evidence. For instance, they were attacked, and so they're attacking back. That's a lot of evidence right there.
Did they attack before they were attacked? Were they occupying Gaza before they were attacked?
No, not really.
No. So you disagree with the ICJ?
No, in the giant. No, because you got to go back to the 40s.
If you said they weren't occupying Gaza before they were attacked on October the 7th, then you disagree with the ICJ.
That's okay. That's a different question. Before they were attacked on October 7th? Yes. Before they were attacked, period? No. Which is why you can't start. History doesn't start on October 7th, January, or 2023. History started.
Yes, that's the point.
And so what I'm saying is,
I don't think you understand the history, just to be clear, because you said so many things that are just like blatantly untrue.
Of course, and I don't think you understand the history.
We have to debate next week for sure, but none of this begets genocide, and none of it proves that actions aren't genocide either.
At best, you have a standstill. You have evidence that it could be a genocide, but nothing conclusive because
no. At best, we have strong evidence of there being a genocide, and you have maybe it's not strong enough. Maybe it's not enough evidence.
Nope. Because
you have skepticism.
A dead body is not evidence of a murder.
I have evidence, and you have skepticism of my evidence. That's like
it's evidence that there's somebody dead.
Yeah,
you have to
quotes and cultural destruction are evidence of intent.
Well, cultural destruction, as I said, if it was targeted, do you know if it was targeted? You can't prove that yet.
Yes. and it's alone evidence of intent. And
You have
level of damage also per the ICJ can be used to weigh in on
yes.
intent.
Everything is
So
evidence.
you don't bomb you don't
you
bomb 800 schools without targeting schools. You don't destroy $300 million of cultural heritage.
That's still not enough. Why are you targeting schools? You keep on forgetting about why. Why?
Yes, and when it's matched with one, their plans to ethnically cleanse Gaza, it's matched with them killing members of the group.
It matches with them trying to stop Gaza from ever attacking them again. It matches with them trying to remove Hamas from
20,000 children because they're trying to remove Hamas from power. Like, yeah, exactly. They no, and even more sufficient. They've killed 20,000 children because they want to remove Hamas from power, but they can't accept the peace plan that would remove Hamas from power because they're also trying to make sure that the Palestinians will never attack them again. Like, that's the logic being put forth here. They can't accept a peace plan where Hamas would willingly leave power because of whatever, but they also have to kill children because Hamas is in power and they have to get them out of there.
Well, we got to wrap it up. But what I can say is, I think I've heard a lot of assertions about they're killing the children. You got to prove that they're targeting the children.
Yes,
children dying is not the same thing.
Okay, 7 Israeli soldiers, just to be clear, 7 Israeli soldiers just the other week went on BBC and said that on different missions, their generals specifically would have them target children. I interviewed Feroz Sidwa, a doctor, an American doctor who spent went to Gaza 2 different times. He said that he saw dozens of children shot twice in the head and chest. There's evidence. There's proof that it was intentional.
Now, were these children, I don't know, child soldiers? Do we know? Second of all,
we're talking about kids who are like 10, 9, 8. Were they child soldiers?
You don't think there's 10-year-old child soldiers?
No, that might be the most fucked up thing I've ever heard in my life. And no, they weren't child soldiers, to be clear, to be specific.
Awesome. You don't think that there's ever been a 10-year-old child soldier?
I just want to be clear that the 7 Israeli soldiers specifically said, they quoted a kid who walked across the lines. He was doing nothing. This is a verbatim quote. He was doing nothing and we were instructed to shoot him. Was that a child soldier?
I mean, if he was doing nothing, I couldn't possibly know.
Okay.
If it was just a random kid, obviously that is
a war. Across the line with nothing.
Obviously, that is a war crime.
Right.
But war crimes are still not genocide. I mean, genocide is a war crime, but war crimes are not genocide, which is what I said at the outset. I'm not defending Israel's actions.
No,
I'm not saying Israel hasn't done anything bad.
I needed proof that they were intentionally killing kids, and I'm just saying that there is plenty of proof. We have videos also. Like, there's videos of kids, a kid who was waving a white flag and was like hit with 6 bullets by the IDF while walking and waving a white flag.
Sure.
I could give you endless amounts of proof.
If this is a genocide, it's one of the worst genocides ever. All you got to do is go in there and kill everybody. Let's just do it. Why wouldn't they do that?
Because they wouldn't get away with it.
Yeah. All I'm saying is, to wrap up my thing, I think that the situation in Gaza is obviously devastating. Every innocent death on either side, to me, is absolutely horrible, which I don't think we are going to disagree on that. Any citizens of either country. But I just think calling it genocide is premature. Legally, morally, and I do think the historical context matters. I know that you don't, but I think the fact that, in my opinion, if we look at how it all started, that Israel began on the defensive, that matters, and I think that we got to take that into account, especially if we want to just keep it with recent history. Same thing on October 7th. They were attacked first there in that situation and are responding in kind. But I think that obviously we both want peace. We both want humanitarian efforts there. And I think that all war crimes should be punished, even if there is no genocide. Any soldiers or commanders who said to shoot unarmed, non-combatant children should be punished to the fullest extent of the law. I don't know what the war laws are like, but thrown in jail or whatever. But to me, I don't think that there's enough to say it's a genocide. I think intent is difficult to prove, but I align with Pope Francis. I want a ceasefire, and the use of force must be the last resort. So that's all I got to say on that.
Yeah, I guess to quickly wrap my position, I think if you don't think that the evidence of intent is there, that you will never think it's there. I think it's pretty clear. Benzal Smotrich, right? The Palestinian people are an invention that's less than 100 years old. That was him doubling down on his quote that those who don't accept Israeli sovereignty annexing the West Bank should be killed. We're now rolling out the Gaza Nakba. That is the agriculture minister for Israel. It's an entire nation out here that is responsible. The rhetoric about civilians not being aware, not being involved, it's absolutely not true. We will kill civilians until we break their backbone. That was Israeli President Isaac Herzog. This was 6 days after October the 7th. Again, Netanyahu invoking the Amalek genocide, right? A biblical genocide of women, children, and a slaughter of the livestock and burning down the towns. The intent is clear. The cultural destruction is there. The cultural destruction is a key point in the ICJ in proving intent. The level of destruction is there. You don't accidentally kill 55,000 civilians. You don't kill almost 20,000 children without the intent to kill children. It's not an accident. It's clearly genocidal. The intent is there in their quotes and in their actions. You guys let us know what you think, though. We're here every Wednesday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're on YouTube, like I always say, like and subscribe. If you're on the Substack, subscribe so you don't miss an upload. If you're on Spotify, leave us a heart, add us to your playlist. And until next time, peace.
Peace.